Welcome back, everyone. We are BSBN. We're here talking about Week Two's matchups here today. We're going to start this game off here with the Commanders versus Packers for Thursday Night Football. Should be an interesting matchup. Um, we're going to jump right into it, I think. I don't know if anyone's got any kind of other things they want to talk about. We did talk about the recap on our last video. We're going to kind of just talk about the new up-and-coming games here for Week 2. We got a couple of good games here, starting with this Thursday night game. Washington versus Green Bay in Lambeau Field, another home game for Green Bay. Starting this off on a two-game home thing here. They versed the Lions last week and they took them down. They're favored to win this game as well. I don't know how anyone feels about that, but I got the Commanders winning this game. Um, I think the Commanders shown against the Giants, especially. I get it. It's just the Giants. Giants weren't nearly on the same level as the Packers last year. But I think that the Washington was also ahead of the Packers last year. I think they were ahead of a lot of teams last year. I still think they're ahead of a lot of teams this year. And I think with the added addition to Deebo Samuels, it just made it that much better. We talked about it. He had a great game against the Giants. 7 receptions coming out at the number 2 spot. I think that's exactly what he needed. I said that in preseason. I've been saying that all week. I think it's exactly what we needed from him. He played great, and I think it was a good game for him to come out and really get his feet wet on a new team with the Washington Commanders at the number 2 slot, right behind McLaurin. I think it's perfect for him. We're going to see an explosive offense this year from them, and I think he's going to be a big part of that coming into this game. We do have Austin Eckler, their starting running back, as questionable with a shoulder injury. We don't know if he'll be playing, but we will find out more updates before the game. Should be seeing it by Thursday morning, hopefully, to see when he's going to play or not. If you have him on fantasy, make sure you bench him. I think Vic, you actually have him on your fantasy in the league, so if you need to bench him. Uh, but yeah, overall though, I think this game's going to be a very good game. Offenses are looking good on both sides. Green Bay came out and showed out last week against Detroit. They put up 27 points on them against a solid defense. They had great receiving. Everything was good against them. Romeo Dobbs was playing great, 2 receptions, 68 yards. You had Golden over there, and you just had a solid game overall. Defense, offense, everything was on fire for them. I think it was good showing. They showed that they're here. They showed that they're here to compete and try to get that division title this year. Much better performance in game one. I think out the gate, Jordan Love, as long as he can stay healthy, I think we're going to see a good game out of him this game as well. A very tough matchup for a week two, but a very good test. If you've already beaten the Lions, this is another playoff caliber, possibly one of the favorites to win the conference, and it's a good test to show what their offense and defense can do on this team. I do have Washington Commanders winning this game, though. I'm going to put this as a high-scoring game. I think both of these teams are really going to show out on offense. I think we're going to see a high-scoring one, though. I'm going to put this one close to what we had the Bills and the Ravens at. I think I'm going to put this one at around. I'm going to put this one at 35-31. I think they're going to win. I have the Commanders in. Clock it. Period. I think they got this game in the bag. I'm going to throw this one over to Vic. Vic, what do you got for me here?
Yeah, man, I love the matchup, man. I really do. I got the Commanders sneaking a win out over here in a lower scoring game than you in a 27-24 by 3 points. Man, I really think they're going to get that run game going like they did last week against the Giants, against a tough defensive line. They were able to find some success. I think Daniels is going to do a better job than Goff did, at least evading the pass rush, and definitely isolating out Micah Parsons. Um, but I can't take none away from Green Bay, man. They look good. Like they were able to move the ball on Detroit. Love play consistent ball. I really feel like this game's just gonna come down to that last minute turnover, which was just gonna change the score of the game. Two really top contending teams, two great teams in an early matchup in the season to really set the tone. I mean, Packers obviously playing Detroit, setting a name for themselves, beating them in the fashion that they did. But I think I think Daniels gets it done, man, and I'm excited to see how they keep utilizing Debo, man, because he was clearly a factor in Week 1 for them, utilizing him in the run and in the pass game, and I think he's going to give Green Bay's defense an issue on both sides of the ball.
All right. What was your score again for them?
I had Commanders winning that one 27-24.
27-24. Very, very close game so far. Dan, let's see what you got here. What do you have this game being? What's your take on this game?
This game is very like I would like to judge the Commanders off of what they did against the Giants, but it's very hard to when the Giants just shows they're that bad of a team and hasn't really improved from last year. They basically look the same kind of team we saw last year, just a little worse in my opinion, on Sunday against the Commanders. So it's kind of really hard for me to judge and say the Commanders are gonna definitely compete with Green Bay after what we've seen from Green Bay. And with that improved, Green Bay was rushing Goff a lot, and I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. I think they're gonna be rushing the quarterback because they just got an addition to that D line that makes them that much stronger in Micah Parsons. So you're talking about that D line doing what they did against the Lions, and now you're putting Jaden Daniels into that situation. It's kind of a question mark for me on how he's going to play against that kind of defense because Green Bay's going to blitz. They're going to disguise their blitzes. They're going to disguise their defense and coverages. And like I said, this is Jaden Daniels' second year.
All right.
So they didn't play Green Bay last year, but at the same time, I do think that since these defensive coordinators have footage on Jaden Daniels, I do think that's going to be a big factor for teams that are going up against him. Because you saw with CJ Stroud last year, how his numbers fell off in his sophomore year compared to rookie season. When these defense coordinators do have footage on a quarterback, they're going to see where the quarterback is making mistakes. Or if he's capitalizing on the defense making mistakes, and they're going to tighten that defense up when they play that player. So it's very much of what are we going to see out of Green Bay's defense, and if they're going to still apply pressure to the quarterback like they did last week. I think this is going to be mainly a defensive game. I do think if Jordan Love can get the offense going for the Packers, the score can go higher. But I got this being a pretty close game at 18-22.
In favor of who?
Packers.
Packers. All right, we got a Packers pick here. Packers. 22-18. All right, that's a good one. All right. So we're gonna start moving on to the next game here. Very, very close scores for everyone here. 2 for Washington, 1, and Dan's got the Packers on this one. We're gonna move on here to the Dallas versus Cowboys game in AT&T Stadium.
Dallas versus Cowboys.
Dallas versus Giants. All right, Dallas versus Giants in AT&T Stadium. Sorry, slipped there. This is going to be a home game for the Cowboys here. Overall, I think we seen week 1 that the Giants did have a lot of struggle going up against the Commanders' defense. I think we did see a lot of wrong. As Dan said, I think we've seen a lot of the same team coming out this year behind Russell Wilson at the leader spot for quarterback. I think there was an issue overall. Everything like we went over already. It's the run game wasn't an impact. The passing game wasn't an impact. It did a lot of sideline throws. They didn't try to go up the middle at all. They got blitzed, and when they did, it was not good. Russell Wilson scrambling around, wasn't able to maintain composure in the pocket. You would look at him like he was a rookie. Like, it looked like he was a rookie who just didn't see his place in the NFL. It was a bad look. It was a bad look. Andrew Thomas was out, but again, not much of an excuse. Players get hurt all the time. QB's got to make the best of it. There's a thing that separates between the good, the bad, and the elite, and it just shows when you have a bad line like that. Obviously, it's never good to be playing behind a bad line, but You really got to show something. You got to show something out of that, and Russell Wilson did not do it last week. I am looking at the fact that George Pickens came out, didn't really put too many points up. We had CeeDee Lamb with, I think, 3 drop passes in the fourth quarter alone, which could have been potential game-changing passes going against the Eagles, and they could have taken down the defending champs from last season, and they just didn't. Defense kind of looked invisible for them too. Really, the rush defense was bad. Pass defense was bad for the Cowboys. Overall, there was not a lot to go off of as far as the Cowboys, other than the fact that Prescott looked fine throwing the ball. His receivers dropped the ball. Defense really didn't put up too much. A lot of flags that allowed the Cowboys to really even keep their position at getting close to the Eagles. I think they really didn't have that much of a great showing either. Better than the Giants, that's for sure, but overall not a great showing. Overall, I again, this might sound like my bias speaking, but I think I have the Giants winning this game, and I know a lot of people are gonna think this is crazy. I don't have this being close. Um, I just don't. I don't know if the Cowboys defense is going to be able to stop the Giants run, because I don't think that the Giants run is actually that bad. I think they just needed to utilize it better, and they couldn't against a solid linebacker core that they have over there in Washington with Nick Bolton at the head for the general for being a field general out there. I feel like a lot of teams don't have that anymore. Nick Bolton is one of them, and I feel like they just could not run on that team. Cowboys, different story. They did get the addition of Kenny Clark, played great in the second half for the Cowboys. Outside of that, though, they were one of the worst teams in keeping the run contained last season. I don't see that really changing here. I don't know if it's going to be Tyrone Tracy. I don't know if it's going to be Turbo Miller. I don't know if it's going to be Cam Scatterbo or if it's going to be Singletary that has a game, but I think they're going to have a game. And I think if they don't, we might see a package or two, because even if he doesn't start, Dayball has packages meant for Jackson Dart. You could possibly see one be played this game. I think it would be the game to do it against a defense like Dallas. If they had to throw him in here for a play or two, I don't see why not if you had to put him in there. But overall, this game's going to come down to whether Russell Wilson can throw this ball properly, whether this run can actually get going, and whether, Dan made a point about it in the recap, whether the Giants are going to utilize their 4 men, like defensive line. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like that they were playing the 3-4, dropping their linemen back into coverage. Their linebacker core is not that great on the Giants, but you have to trust them so that the Giants can at least rush in, because that's where everyone was saying the defense was going to be strong for the Giants. We all looked towards that front 4. They got 3 sacks, but Dexter Lawrence was double-teamed. We're going to see it again against the Cowboys line. He's going to get double-teamed. The edge rushers have to get through and make it to that offense. And if they could actually send 4 guys or make a couple of blitzes with a zone blitz, a man blitz, throw some packages together, something to show some life with the pass rush, if we could actually get Abdul Carter back there, if we can get Thibodeau back there, if we can get Burns, if we can get Dexter Lawrence, this should be a great defensive line. It should be the most dominant defensive line on paper to have. They were better last year when they had less. They have more now. Utilize it. We should not be seeing this team blitzing in with only 3 members of their line attacking and no one else. Not a linebacker, no one coming in. I don't want to see Abdul Carter in coverage. I don't want to see Dexter Lawrence playing a spy package. I don't want to see anyone going off that line. I want to see them going towards Dak Prescott, who we have here on the podcast in a Jets jersey. I want to see them coming in and actually going in to blitz him. I want to see him get a sack. I want to see them with the pressure. Vic with the resemblance here for Dak Prescott. He's been talked about a lot as if he looks like him, which I think it's pretty similar. But but yeah, overall, I think the Giants can win this game. They just really need to focus. I think it was a really bad showing for Week 1. I'm predicting a bounce-back game here. I have the score for this game. I'm going to put the Giants at a solid 28 points. Maybe a little high, maybe very high, because they haven't put up 28 points, and I don't remember when they put up 28 points last. But it's been a while, and I'm thinking it can happen against the Cowboys this upcoming game. Neighbors going to have a better game. He's going to lock in. I think Wan'Dale Robinson's going to have a good game. I want to see them get 28 points. I'm predicting a score of 28-14, two-score game for the Giants coming into week 2. Throw it over to Dan.
Okay. My whole thing is to piggyback off what you said. I don't want to see Abdul Carter playing 30 snaps. I want to see him out there. He's your third overall pick in this past year's draft. He needs to be out there and be playing more on the defensive side. I don't want to see him on the punt block. I don't want to see him on special teams. I want to see him for what you drafted him for, defense. I want to see this defensive line shine. And to quote one of my favorite movies possible ever, I want to quote Remember the Titans here. I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take every last one of you out. You make sure they remember the Giants forever. Okay? That's what I want to see this team do. Because if you drafted Abdul Carter and you expect this line to be, like Pat said, a pretty dominant force at defensive line, you have to blitz them. You got to disguise your coverages. You got to have these blitz. You got to blitz the middle linebackers to give pressure off the defensive line to stop the double teams. Because, yes, at some point, depending on if you blitz, the more you blitz a game, they're not going to double team Dexter Lawrence. They're not going to double team Brian Burns. They're not going to double team Abdul Carter. They're going to have to fend. That O-line is going to have to fend for themselves at some point the more you blitz them. And yeah, okay, maybe the Dallas offense did come out hot against the Eagles. But like you said, there were some key drops by CD Lamb. Do I think this Cowboys offense can be a force to reckon with in the league? Absolutely. Do I think it will happen from a Cowboys team? Maybe not. I think we've seen the prime Cowboys being the America's team era. That's out the window. Cowboys haven't been America's team in God knows how long. I don't even want to have them be brought up in this America's team picture again. You're gonna have this is a game that the Giants can make a statement in, that our defense is gonna be the backbone for this team. And maybe if Russ Wilson comes out and has the same game as he did against the Commanders last weekend, I do think at the half we could possibly see Jackson Dart. And yeah, I said that the O-line, you want to start him behind Andrew Thomas. But at some point, and especially this week where I saw reports that they brought Brian D-Ball into the office and discussed starting Jackson Dart this year, I think we might see it sooner than later. And why not at the half if we're down, to get some form of life into this team? Because like I said previously in the recap, I do think this Giants team showed to us last week that they didn't improve. If you want to see improvement, you're going to have to blitz this front four. And if they do, I can definitely see the Giants winning. But at this point, from what we've seen, and I know this might contradict what I'm saying here, I have to go Dallas. It's just, there's no faith. As a Giants fan, I have no faith in this Giants team right now to go out and win a game by what we've seen recently. It's just, you're seeing the same team year after year. You're losing hope. You have to gain some life. If you can gain some life in this game, which I think they can, but I have to go Dallas in this game, and I think it's going to be a 28-21 game.
All right, Dan's got them at 28-21. All right, and Vic, your point here? You got something to throw at this?
Yes, I do. Yeah, man. I love the matchup, bro. Giants and Cowboys is always that true rivalry division game matchup. In your guys' division, and I got the Giants coming out on top here, man. 23-17. I think the Giants bounce back, man. I think they find their legs in the running game. I think they make a big step forward in the running game. Whoever it is that's running the ball, or the utilization of all the backs that they got. I just think they do a better job this week of establishing that as a focal point in the offense to take some pressure off of Wilson, so he's not throwing so much. And I feel like Neighbors is going to have one of those big games, man. You know, I feel like it wasn't there last week, and I feel like this is I feel like he bounces back as well, and Wilson's able to find him a couple of times on some explosive plays, man. And that the Giants' defense prevails. You know, I think they're going to get to Dak and get to him early and get him off his rhythm, man. You know, I can't. I mean, yeah, they got George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. You know, they didn't look horrible their first week, but a lot of those drives were sustained off of big penalties in that Eagles game. You know, you take away a lot of those penalties, I don't know if they score on many of those drives unless they're coming away with 3 points. You know, so that's why I got them at 17 points. I think the Giants defense just does a great job of holding them down. I'm not really worried about the pass rush after losing Parsons. I just don't see it. Wilson's got enough legs in him to get out of the pocket and make a play. And yeah, man, I see the. I mean, this is really the battle for third place, in my opinion, in that division. You know, it's those two teams that are those little wild card kind of teams that could just sneak up, and this is a good game to establish who's going to be that team. But yeah, I got the Giants on top, man. I think they bounce back. I think they get it together. They regroup and they come out with a better game plan against Dallas, and they take it at Dallas at their house. And yeah,
All right, cool, good, good points made all around. Solid games here. We're gonna move on to the next package here. We're gonna be looking at the Bills at MetLife Stadium going up against the New York Jets. Our Jets resident homer here, Vic, wearing his Jet jersey as usual, repping Darrell Revis. They lost the last game against Steelers 34-32. Obviously, you had a good faith in them. I think a lot of Jets fans did. If you don't have faith in the Jets after seeing last week's game, I don't know what you're looking at, but they played great. I want to see what Vic here has to say about this. Vic, if you throw this off for us, please.
yeah, sure will, man. First, I already know all us hypocrite Jet fans out here that are expecting high hopes are definitely hating the Jets for losing that game, and I'm gonna disagree with all of them right now. You know, I think the expectation I have for the Jets this season is to just be consistent, right? And I seen some consistency last week against the Pittsburgh team in the run game, in the rushing attack, you know, and that's where the success lied for us. The offensive line had good push, and we were able to utilize the run game. And after watching the Bills game, clearly they had an issue stopping the run. Granted, it's Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson and Henry had a field day on the ground, and the Jets are no shy of that combination as well with depth in their back and Fields with his legs, man. So I really think the ticket to this game is in the trenches, man. If the Jets can just stay the course and pick up where they left off last week and rely heavily on that run game, don't make Fields play out of his comfort zone. You know, like you said, play to his strengths, man. If it's short passes, dink and dunks, check downs, and screens, use that offensive line that you got. You've seen it in the Baltimore games, the success that they had in the short game and in the runs, man, and it was effective. You know, um, I definitely have it being a close game here. I'm putting a biased pick. I'm putting the Jets at a 19-17 game here. I think it's going to just come down to 2 points. Not taking anything away from that Buffalo team. I'm sure Josh is going to look at the film and he's going to see where the Jets were weak in that Steelers game, and I'm curious to see if Stevenson, the corner, bounces back. Man, he had a lot of blown coverages, a couple of penalties, and you know, Josh Allen is that kind of quarterback where if he sees that, he's going to attack that. You know, and also, you know, you got to contain him, and I feel like the Jets have always done a decent job at doing that. But he does come out. You never know with him, man. Like he's a tank, man. You know, they're gonna get pressure at him. I know that there's always a tight game when they play each other. We will be at this game, which I'm so excited for.
Yeah.
Um, I really don't. I think it's gonna be a defensive game, man, and I think it's gonna come right down to the wire. It's gonna be one of those games. It's going to be exactly how it was last week. It's going to come down to that one turnover in the game that is going to decide the game ultimately, man. And I think it's going to be Josh Allen throwing an interception, man. I'm going to be present. And I really feel like that first turnover is going to come against us, man, and it's going to be packed. This is our rival. This is our New England right here. You know, our new Tom Brady over here in our division, and I think they're going to do all the things that they need to do right. They're going to have the energy, the home field advantage. I think Josh is gonna struggle, but as long as we can contain the run game, keep our run game moving forward, and not blow any coverages, man, I got them pulling off this tight win here at MetLife, Jet Life.
All right, Dan, on to you. Throwing it over here for you.
Vic, I'm sorry, but I might piss you off here. But yes, the Jets did look good last week. Yes, they played the Steelers. And yes, the Steelers have a weak offensive line, and we saw that with the amount of pressures that they had on the Steelers. You're going up against the Buffalo Bills, and it's very hard to compare both rosters when you're looking at the Jets. Yes, they have a good secondary, and yes, they have a decent front seven, but at the same time, I do think the Buffalo Bills offensive line is much stronger than the Steelers line. I don't think Josh Allen is going to deal with that much pressure. I think it's going to be a pretty easy game back there for Josh Allen. And I think we can see Josh Allen possibly getting 450 yards against his Jets defense.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just seeing after last week, Buffalo's coming out with some mentality this year, saying they're coming out, they're looking hungrier. They're like, this is our AFC. Screw the Chiefs, screw the Ravens, because you saw what they did to the Ravens, coming back being down 15. I don't know. They have a statement to prove this year. And I feel like they're just going to ride that chip. And even with Josh Allen, from what he said after the game, he even basically told the fans, have faith in us. Don't leave the game. And you know MetLife is going to be MetLife. Yes, Jets fans are going to pack that out. But I'm sure Bills Nation is going to come out just as strong in MetLife than anywhere else because they are in New York. Well, not New York, New Jersey, but still New York. I do think Buffalo is going to run away with this game. I think this is going to be a 35-18 game.
All right. 35-18. That is a lot of yards you have them here against the Jets, which I don't blame you because they played against Baltimore and they did come out swinging. They came out. They did a great job. 41 points. Um,
Defense too. So why can't they
Dan?
do that against the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that they can't. They definitely can. I had this game. It's I think going to this game myself. This is my first ever game. And I have a knack. I have a knack for bringing a lot of good luck to sports stuff, whether it be sports betting, whether it be sports games. I don't lose many that I go to. I don't even watch a lot of baseball. But I every time I've gone to a Met game, they've pretty much been on top, even in their bad era, if you want to call it that. Um, I think I could have the Jets winning this, mainly just because I'm going to be there, and I don't understand why. I have a knack for that. I don't have a Jets jersey on, but it's okay. I'm going to wear my Rangers jersey over there. It's going to look exactly like a Bills jersey. It'll look great. And you know, we'll come out on top, especially with Vic leading the charge. You know, doing his "Let's Go Buffalo" chants. But overall, though, I think this game is I think this is one of those games, as Dan said, it's a game that the Bills can run away with for sure. But I have this game being kind of a trap game. And not to say that the Jets are a trap, because I think the Jets are going to have a good season this year. But I think it's a trap game because I think a lot of people are underestimating the Jets. I think a lot of people are underestimating the fact that they do have a good defense there. They do need better coverage on the passing game. But I do think that they have the guys to take care of the Bills, at least split the series. The Jets are not one to go down without a fight, even when they're in their worst at times. they'll still manage to put up 40 against the dominant Tom Brady uh, Patriots. They still put up fights, no matter what you have to say about them. I think that Justin Fields really showed out. I think their offense really showed out. I think that even when they're getting blitzed, he's going to come out and he's going to run that ball. Brees Hall looked amazing. He's going to run that ball. Braylon Allen, he's going to run that ball. I think that there's a lot of weapons that the Jets can utilize. If they could keep the same tempo that they brought last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they have a very, very good shot of keeping this a close game, but I do think they can win this game. I am going to take the New York Jets here to win this game. I'm going to have the score being, I think this one is actually going to be another high-scoring game, just because I do think that the Jets do have a defense, but I'm not going to underestimate Josh Allen. I do think he will have a lot of yards, but I do not think that it'll be enough for them to only beat the Jets, because he does have a historical way of managing to lose to the Jets. We've seen it, I think it was last year or 2023. He came out and he fumbled the game completely, literally fumbling in that game as well. Jets end up getting the win off of him. I don't remember which season that was, but wherever they played opening week, and the Jets end up coming away with the win. This time the Jets are better. They have a better offense. It's pretty much a similar defense. I think we're going to see a good game from them. I don't know in which way, how they'll do it, but I think they'll steal this game. I'm going to go ahead and give this score a high-scoring game of around. I'm going to give this one a score of. I'm going to give this. I think. What did I give? What did I give the Packers game? The Commanders and Packers game. I think it's going to be some. I think it's going to be around something like that. I think it's going to be like a 31-28 kind of game, or 31. I'll give it actually. You know what? I'll make it by a 7-point game. I have the Jets winning 31-24. With a show-out game all around. But I do think that they'll force turnovers. I think they'll be able to force something. I think Will McDonald's going to come in there and do what he has been doing since mid-season of last year and into the beginning of this year. He's going to get the rush. He's going to get the Josh Allen. We're going to see a better pass rush this week against them than you saw with the Ravens versus the Bills, because that was a big thing for them. I don't feel like the pressure was there. And I feel like we're going to see it this week with the Jets. I have them winning 31-24 against the Bills this week. All right, coming into our next game here, our next matchup is going to be the Seahawks versus the Steelers. Dan, would you like to take this one away?
Sure. After last week, the Seahawks offense really didn't give me anything to go off of. And you have, Aaron Rodgers is older. Yeah, you can say what you want about how he's older, he's losing his step. He proved all that wrong last week against the Jets. And I think if he can pull that off against the Jets, the way the Seattle's defense showed us offense, what they showed us last week, they really didn't show us much. I think the Steelers defense could lock them down, and I do think the Steelers can come away with this game. Do I think it's going to be as close as the Jets game? Absolutely. I do think we're going to see a very close game here. I think it's going to come down to a 2-point game and be a 34-31 type game.
For the Steelers, in favor of them?
Yep, in favor of the Steelers.
Okay. I'll go on this one. I think Dan is right. I think Aaron Rodgers did prove to the world that he is old, yeah, but he is going to come out swinging. I think that even though I didn't like the way that DK Metcalf played, I think he played well with the other receivers as well. He distributed the ball evenly enough to where he actually got the win. He played great, a great passing team overall, and the rushing game's not bad either on the Steelers. I do think their offensive line is terrible, one of the worst in the league. But even with that, even with getting sacked 5 different times against the Jets, he still had a great, and I think a perfect QB record rating with 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I could absolutely see the Steelers going in here against the Seahawks and getting a win. I don't think it's going to be close. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to come out here and put up a close game against the Steelers. I think this game's going to be a little bit of a more of a travesty. I have this game being. I'm gonna give them 34 points. So I'll put the Steelers at 34 to the Seahawks 14. I'm giving them 14 points. I don't think Kenneth Walker played great. I think he actually is injured now too. They just didn't have much going on. A lot of turnovers all around, like with fumbling and whatnot. I don't think they have much. I think the Steelers were going to take a step. I said at the beginning of the season that they were going to take a step back. I think it's going to follow through here with the Steelers game. They didn't play great against a banged up San Fran team. I don't think they're going to come close to a Steelers. So I'm going to put this one at 34-14 for the Steelers.
So this is a revenge game for DK Metcalf. Let's not forget that. I think DK Metcalf's going to ball out this
Yeah,
game.
his return as well. There is that. Vic, on you.
Yeah, I got the Steelers coming out and taking this one 28-17. I'm gonna have to throw a little shade on Rodgers though right now, and I know Steelers fans and Rodgers fans ain't gonna like it, but not knocking his play at all against the Jets. But I do want to state that he did play with this defense for about 2 years straight, and the location of his ball, knowing where the weaknesses of playing with these guys for 2 seasons straight. His throws were on the money, no doubt, but he did have a little inside scoop. Granted, he's not with them anymore. You don't forget. You know what I'm saying? You go in there, you know who can be where you can put that ball where someone does where a certain guy can't get to. Who's got the speed to get to this pass, but not knocking him. I think he's gonna pick up where he left off last week, just not in such a dominant fashion. I think TJ Watt really comes out and steps up and shows out this game for sure, man. And gets to Darnold early and just sets the tone. I think the defense gives the Steelers enough chances to easily score 28 points in this game, or what did I have them? 28 points. I think Darnold, you get in there and score. I don't think it's going to be close. I think they'll just tally along some points towards the end. But I got the Steelers winning this through and through, for sure. Or for the defense alone.
All right. All right, so let's move on to our next matchup here. We have the Rams versus the Titans. And this game, I think, is going to be a very, very, very slow game. I'm not anticipating this one being the most it's not the most exciting matchup for sure, right? But I do think there's some things that we need to see, some things I don't think we've seen last game for either team, and I think we're going to see it a little bit more this week around. I think the Rams defensive line put up some pressure in their last game. I think that they'll come out and I think they're going to come out and do some. They're going to be able to pass that ball. I don't know if it's going to be enough on their team, but I do think the Titans are going to squeak away with a win. It's going to be a low-scoring game for me because I think the Titans have something to prove. The Titans need to show that Cam Ward is their quarterback. Game 1, he didn't have a great showing, but from what I did see of that game, from what I remember of it, everything that I had seen of that game, it was a lot of drop passes by Calvin Ridley, their star receiver over there, the rest of the receivers. But I do think that they have something to prove. I believe their coach is going to come in and give them the pep talk they need because they really needed it last week. They desperately needed it, and I think they were going to see something a little bit more magic out of Cam Ward this week. And I think hopefully the receivers have some stick-em on their gloves because that was really the turning point for their game. The fact that they just could not get a string of passes together at all. It just felt like one drop pass or another. Cam Ward didn't look terrible, didn't have a great record, but overall, I think he will have a better week this week, trying to prove something. A nice bounce back game for them. I'll take the Titans winning this game, 17-10 over the Rams. That's the storyline for me that I got going in. I think just Cam Ward's going to come out and play with a vengeance. Moving on to Dan.
This game is kind of like last week. The Rams went into, I believe they went into, it wasn't a home game for them. I believe they went into the Texans ground, and they came away with a victory there. So to go up against the Texans, which is probably one of your rivals in the West right now, or it's definitely a rivalry for them in some aspect. But I think when you look at the Titans, you have a rookie quarterback. And yes, he didn't show out the way he should have last week, Cam Ward. But I do think this week we're going to see something pretty similar to a last week performance. I feel like the Rams front is going to pressure him. I do feel this is going to be more of a blowout in the Rams' favor. I don't think that the Titans defense can keep up with the offense that Stafford has, and especially since they have Devontae Adams, I do think you're going to see Devontae Adams. Is he on the Rams?
Yes.
Yeah, I do think you're going to see Devontae Adams having a decent game this week. And along with Puka Nacua, I think for last week he did put up 130 yards. I do think you're going to see a decent game. He is going to get into the end zone. I think this is going to be a 24-10 type game in favor of the Rams.
All right. It's not bad at all. I don't think it's I think the 10 is pretty consistent so far. 2 out of 3 hits so far with 10 points for at least one of these teams. Moving on to Vic here for this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Dan. I got the Rams taking this one 28-13. I just don't see the Titans offensive line being able to stop the Rams defensive line. I mean, Cam Moore got sacked 5 times in week 1, and I could see the same thing happening again this week. Receivers are dropping passes. I don't see much improvement there. I just think there's going to be a lot of pressure still. And it's going to force him to make some bad decisions or get out of his comfort zone, man. I think Stafford's going to find his targets this week big time, as he started to kind of find them in his last game, and that's the fashion they're going to win in. He's gonna be throwing to his guys for most of the game. I'd love to see the Titans utilize their running backs, man. They got a couple of big athletic backs there, and try and get that run game going. But yeah, man, I just got the Rams winning this 28-13, with no issues at all. I think Stafford's just gonna pick them apart.
All right, hey, not bad at all. I think that we are definitely going to see a game here. I don't know how much the Titans do put up, but like I said, I don't know why I just haven't bouncing back. But I mean, definitely, I could see that game going the other way with the Rams winning it. I got faith in the Titans this week. I do got faith in them. I'm gonna give the Titans fans some hope. I gotta give them a little bit of hope. I got the little engine that could. All right, we're gonna go ahead and pass this one on here to the Patriots versus the Dolphins. We got a nice AFC division rivalry game here. Possibly, the fight for third place here is what I have it being personally. I think the Patriots have a better team this year than the Dolphins. I think they showed that with Stephon Diggs being there on the team now. Drake May not looking bad. They did lose week 1 against the Raiders. I do think they need to tighten up. Similar to the Titans, I think they'll have a bounce back game in this one, especially with the Dolphins. A lot of question marks right now. I don't know how the locker room's doing. Tyreek Hill apparently is in talks, I guess, with the Steelers for a trade. I had seen rumors about. I'm wondering how true that is, how far that'll go. Um, Overall, offense wasn't doing nothing. Even Tua didn't look good against the Colts team. I can't imagine he's going to look good against the Patriots. Patriots had a solid, decent defense last year against the rush. I don't know how much we're going to see of the Dolphins really putting together much of a drive against them. I know I had them blowing out the Colts last week. Clearly, I was proven wrong. I'm not about to be wrong against them again. I hope, at the very least. I had the Patriots winning this one. I'm going to give Drake May a little bit of credit here. I'm going to put this game as another blowout for against the Dolphins because I think the Dolphins just don't. I don't know if they know what they're doing. I can't see a comeback game with them right now. I just don't. Not against the Patriots. The Patriots, like I said, are a more solid team this year than they were last year. I think everyone's going to forget about the fact of last year even happened. Running game's going to be better. Passing game's going to be better. Defense is going to be better. I have them winning this game. I'm going to put them at a solid 24-10 victory over the Dolphins with this one. Throwing this one over the Vic.
Yep. All right. Well, I got the Patriots winning this one real close. 1 point, 24-23.
Oh,
I think Miami wakes up this week and Tua kind of finds a little bit of a stride here, especially not turning over the ball so much. But yeah, I'm still giving it to New England, man. I think Drake May finds a way to get it done, man, and continues to just kind of play off of what he did last week. Wasn't an amazing performance, but I think it'll be enough to etch one over on Miami, and that Miami will come up short. I just don't think Tua's gonna. I think they're gonna wake up and find their stride, but I don't think it's gonna be enough. I don't know. That locker room seems like it's in shambles, and they're trying to find an identity for themselves for this season. And it was a really tough loss to start the season, coming into a hard division game against New England. So, yeah, I got New England etching one out here, 24-23.
Very, very tight game there, 24-23. Vic has these weird scores all the time, man. I give him credit for just thinking of numbers. 'Cause I swear, I feel like he just throws stuff at a dartboard. It's always a fun score for him. I never know what he's going to be doing with that. Dan, throwing this one over to you. Patriots versus Dolphins. What do you got here?
I'd like to point this out real quick. With the Patriots, last week they were down Christian Gonzalez and Charles Wood with injuries. And those are two key members to their defense. If they can return this week, I can see the Dolphins. And I hate to say this about this Dolphins team, because this Dolphins team on paper should be better than what we've seen last week against the Colts. They shouldn't have got blown out that bad, where they only put up 6 points. It's kind of soul crushing to the locker room, like you guys been saying. And I do think that locker room is in shambles. So if the Patriots do get back Christian Gonzalez and Charles Wood, I can see them being in another predicament as last week. I can see this game. I can see Drake May driving down the field on this Miami's defense, beating them up while they're down, because why not? You're playing a division rival. You want to beat them up when they're down. It's very hard not to say that Patriots can go into Miami and do a similar performance like we've seen the Colts did, because the Patriots are a better team than the Colts. They have more weapons around Drake May. I can see this being a 35-10 game.
Ooh, blowout.
Just beating up on your rivalry.
Hey.
Very, very big blowout there. Can't blame you. Like I said, I think we all agree. They just right now the Dolphins just don't have their stride. It's gonna be interesting to see how they go for the rest of the season. I want to point out Tyreek Hill has not had a 30-yard completion in over a year. He hasn't had a 30-yard completion in over a year, and I think that says a lot between injuries and whatnot. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out real quick. All right, we're going to throw this one on to the next game here. Let's get to the Bears versus the Lions, another division rivalry game, another exciting one here. We're playing this one over in Soldier Field. So, we're in the Lions Field, I think, actually, right? The Lions are home this game.
Detroit, yep.
Yeah, okay. So we have the Bears going to Detroit. This is going to be a fun one, I think. I think that like I said, Caleb Williams and the Bears had a lot to prove last week, and they threw the game. It reminds me very similar fashion to their game that really set off the Washington Commanders last year, where they caught that Hail Mary in the end zone while they were taunting the Commanders, and they lost that game. I think the Bears did the same exact thing this time around. They got the pick six. They lost against the Vikings in bad fashion, 21 points in the fourth quarter. This is a team that I think is coming out to fight. I think they are going to come out to try to get this win against the Lions. That being said, I think the Lions are also looking for a little bit of a snack. I think they're looking for some kind of redemption, because I don't think they're going to want to go into another division rival game and lose twice in a row after being one of the best teams in the league last year. I think we're going to see a Lions game come out. We're going to see a better offense out of them. I think we have this one being a little bit better of a game. We're probably going to have this one being, I'm gonna put this one at 31-24 in favor of the Lions. Throw this one over to Vic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like the matchup, man. I love both of these teams, honestly, but I'm gonna go with Dan Campbell's guaranteed Week 2 victory, as he keeps stating, man. And I'm gonna give it to the Detroit 24-19, tight game. I just think I think it's that bounce back game. that they need. I think they're just going to play a lot cleaner after having such a lopsided week 1 against Green Bay. And yeah, man, I think the run game is going to be there. I'm expecting a better game from Gibbs, man, and that Sonic and Knuckles combination that was so effective last year. I think it's gonna look a lot better than it did in week 1. And I'm gonna give Caleb. I think Caleb's gonna have a better performance than he did week 1. I think he's gonna have a strong game. I just don't think it's gonna be enough to outplay the Lions. They're definitely coming out with that vengeance kind of game. After coming out the way they did in week 1, I'm sure no one was expecting or planning them to come out that way, and I'm sure they weren't either. So I know they're really going to come out and play hard, and I just think the offense and defense as a unit altogether is just going to outplay the Bears, and they'll come up and sneak one by. But not discrediting, I think Caleb's going to have a way better game than he did week 1.
All right, moving on to you, Dan. What do you got for me?
The fact that we're getting a Chicago versus Detroit rivalry game this early in a year is very impressive. And we know just how, throughout all of sports, how impactful Chicago versus Detroit rivalry is, and especially in hockey. We know this. So you're going up against you have two teams that have an historic rival from city to city. And it's going to be very difficult for me to say that the Lions can't bounce back this week in home because they did look horrible against Green Bay. And I don't think they want to go back to back losing against two divisional rivals. I think we're going to see Detroit come out there. I think St. Brown is going to have a day against the Bears. I don't think that Bears defense can keep up with Brown and the weapons that Goff has. And like Vic said, you have that Sonic and Knuckles duo back there running the ball. I think they're going to come out and show out too. I don't think this is going to be that close of a game where the Bears are going to be in this game. I do think it's going to be definitely more of a lines of a little higher scoring game for the Lions. I think it's going to be 28 to 19. I do think the Bears are going to get their licks in, but I do think the Lions can withstand that pressure that the Bears are going to deliver.
I just want to point out that's a very high compliment from Dan because Dan had the Bears getting blown out 38 to nothing against the Vikings last week, and I think just seeing that they actually put up points made him realize, okay, maybe they're not as bad as I thought they were. So I think it's a high compliment, Bears fans. Take that as a compliment that they are going to get their licks in. All right, moving on to the next matchup here. We got the Browns versus the Ravens once more. Another, and I think the final division rivalry game we have here for the week, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we got the Browns versus the. Oh, we have more, but the Browns versus the Ravens playing this game. I'm just gonna say this clear as day. I think the Browns are gonna come out, blow out the Ravens. I think the score's gonna be 43 to nothing. I'm joking. I think that the Ravens are if the Ravens don't come back and absolutely bully the Browns to the point to where they want to put in Shador Sanders, there's an issue here. We already seen a top tier offense absolutely get shortened down with Cincinnati. We already know they're not good defensively, but they held down Cincinnati to 17 points with one of the top quarterbacks, one of if not the top receiver, especially in fantasy, one of the best running backs in the league, T. Higgins. They have all these weapons, and the Browns found a way to keep them down to 17 points. Played a very, very tight game against them. Managed to keep them in there. Myles Garrett played like an animal. It's possible we could see it again. They just seem to play good against division rivals, the Brown. I don't think they're going to win. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. But I don't think it's going to be a horrible game. I don't think it's going to be horrible as in the fact that I don't think that the Ravens are getting 40 points this game. I'm going to put this one. I'll put this at a 24 to 13 game for the Ravens to win this one. But I do think the Browns are severely underestimated defensively. I think we have a lot to go off of there. Their offense might be lacking, but I think their defense can carry them in some games or at least keep them in it. And I think that's what we're going to see here this time around. But I do have the Ravens winning 24-13. All right, let's move this one on to Dan.
Fans are gonna hate me by the end of this podcast.
A lot of people are going to hate you, apparently.
But when you look at Lamar Jackson's record against the Browns, he's 8-5 in a 13-game stretch. He has 2,319 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and he has 438 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. I think, with that being said, and the performance that the Ravens had against the Bills, I think they're gonna bounce back, and they're gonna want to take it out on a division rival. I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are gonna run all over this defense. And do I see the Browns keeping up with them? Absolutely not. I don't know. For what the Browns did against the Bengals, I mean, yeah, the Bengals have a weak offensive line. They mainly rely on Joe Burrows and those weapons on offense that he has in Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They rely on them. If they're not going, obviously that's going to impact the way the Bengals play. And yes, I think the Ravens are definitely a better team overall than the Bengals, as we saw last week with the two teams. But I do think this score is going to be more of a blowout. I think the Ravens are going to want to come in. They're going to play with some chip on their shoulder from last week. They're going to want to take it out on somebody. Why not take it out on a division rival in the Browns? I can see this being 30-14
14
in the Ravens' favor.
Okay, you said blowout. I thought it was going to be a lot worse than that. I was expecting some kind of astronomical score out of nowhere. I'm expecting like a Vic score, but on a blowout surface here. Speaking of, let's throw this one over to Vic. Let's get him over here. What do you got, Vic, for me?
Yeah, I got the Ravens winning this game 32-23, just because you can't count out my boy Joe Flacco, bro. Guy just seems to perform at such a late stage in his career, even though it's not magnificent. He's just able to keep you in games. But I'm gonna agree with Dan, man. Lamar is pissed. Lamar's pissed off, bro. You could hear it in his press conference. He's just sick and tired of losing these big games. And I think he's tired of. He's just really tired of it, bro. And he wants people to be accountable on this team. Like you said, there's no reason they should have lost that game last week. And he's truly frustrated, man. He's coming out here with a sense of urgency, and they're gonna dog this team on the ground. I think Derrick Henry and him, the ground game is just gonna get it done. I think Flacco's just going to be able to somehow put up points on the board for them just because it's a division rival matchup, and Joe Flacco just seems to do stuff like this randomly. But yeah, man, I got them breezing through them on the ground, man, and Lamar's just really going to come out and have one kind of game because he knows the urgency behind this. To start the season 0-2, no less, to lose to Cleveland, man, it's not the look he's looking for, man, and I think he's really going to come out here. And he's going to have his team fired up to come out here and do the justice. And their true justice really just comes on that ground game. So, yeah, I got them up winning this game 32-23.
I kind of like the nice little reverse score there. I like it. It's an odd score, but at the same time, it's something I can kind of digest a little bit there. Not too mad at that one. By the way, guys, every correct score that Vic gets, we're going to be using that money, and we're going to be donating it straight to my bank account. $10 every correct pick he makes when it comes to the score. So we're just gonna we're gonna see how he does. And let's try to see what we get by the end of the season. All right. Next game up here, we got the 49ers versus the Saints coming in here. This is a game that I think we're going to see. It's going to be a tricky one here. Don't fall for it. Do not believe that this is going to be a blowout game. I understand it's versus the Saints. I understand we all know the Saints really aren't going to be a good team for the foreseeable future, really. But I'm sorry, New Orleans fans. I apologize. But the
You can have the New
49ers,
Orleans fans hating you.
yeah,
I'll have every other fan hate me.
there you go. But the 49ers, though, 49ers are going to be possibly missing Brock Purdy, and they're missing Kittle, their tight end, who's like on the IR. They have to rely basically on this game. If Purdy is not in, it's a matter if he is or not. If he's in, I think they're going to have a good game regardless. I think IU comes out and plays. I think McCaffrey comes out and plays. I think their defense comes out and plays. I don't think the Saints are going to be able to really stop them regardless, but I think they have a better chance with, I believe it's Trey Lance as the backup if he's in over Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy didn't even have that great of a game. Who was it?
I think it's Mac Jones.
Oh, it's Mac Jones possibly? Yeah, I think Mac Jones even can get the job done against the Saints. I just don't know if it's going to be too big of a blowout if it's either one of them. But I think Purdy will have a better game this game around against the Saints rather than their division rival of the Seahawks that he had last game. He didn't have that great of a game. I'm very disappointed in you, Brock, because like that was just not a great game. I really wasn't. I think all eyes are going to be on Purdy because we have to see now where does he stand without his receivers? Where does he stand with limited options? He doesn't have Deebo Samuel's there going crazy. He has Ayuk there. They chose Ayuk. They wanted to stay with Ayuk. They only have him basically at the forefront there for the most part, and then they also have McCaffrey. McCaffrey can't stay healthy though. If he does manage to stay healthy though, we've seen what he could do. We know the high-powered offense that he brings to the table. He could be your best receiver on any given night. He could be your best running back on any given night. I had the 49ers winning this. I'm going to give it, if Purdy is in, and which I will say he's going to be in, I'm going to have confidence that he will be in for this game. I'm going to put the 49ers, even though I said it wasn't going to be a blowout. I think it will be a blowout, and I think we're going to see a massacre this game. I think this game is going to be. I'm going to give the 49ers. I'll put them up 27 to 6 is my score for this game, in favor of the 49ers. All right, let's move this one on to Vic.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I got the Niners here too. Whether it's Purdy playing or whether it's Mac Jones. If it's Mac Jones, the only question I got is does Mac pop off? But the score I got here is where is it? Give me 1 second, I lost it. What team were we talking about again? Oh, the Niners. Yeah, I got this game's. I feel like this is going to be the same kind of game as the Seattle game was, man. I got a 21-16 score, 49ers. I think the defense is able to hold them in the lead. And I think just because I don't know who's really starting at quarterback. I know they're down Kittle as well, but I think McCaffrey is going to pick up where he left off last week, whether it's receiving or rushing the ball. He looked really good in his first week. And I think the only positive note for the Saints is that Kamara probably comes out with the only positive statistical stat on that whole offense. But somehow I have it being a close game. I just have that feel, same way as I did with the Seattle game. One possession kind of score game here. But giving it to the 49ers, I think the defensive side of the ball, the Niners hold off and only give up 16 points here. And they're able to close up that game and find a way to win.
All right, Dan, over to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with the both of you guys here and take the 49ers. Like, yeah, I get it. You say that this game, don't be fooled by this game. But at the same time, if you date back to last year, the Saints really haven't won that many games. And I think that this losing streak that they've been on is just going to continue. Especially when you can't, when you don't figure out who you're going to have at quarterback. And I can't say that Riddler is going to be their guy because he really hasn't shown, especially me, things that shows that he's going to be the Saints' next guy. It's kind of hard to say that you can see the Saints winning. And yeah, okay, they have Kamara and we all know what Kamara could do. And yes, like Vic said, I think he's going to be the only positive guy to come out with stats that game. But I don't care who's going to be at quarterback for the 49ers. I do see this being like a runaway like you. I do see this being like 28-10.
All right. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the Saints fare. I mean, the Saints really do need a better QB room. They need a better everything. There's nothing really. I don't have much to say about that team. Kamara is the best player on that team, and I think Fred Warner is going to really take care of the work over there to stop him on the run. But hey,
I mean,
overall, hopefully they have a better year. But we're gonna throw this one on to the next game here. We're gonna get over to Jaguars and the Bengals. This is a matchup that I think is so weird. It's basically gonna come down to which Bengals are you getting? Are you going to get this high-powered offense Bengals, or are you going to get the Bengals versus the Browns? Because if you get the Bengals versus the Browns, you're gonna have to really keep an eye on the fact that Travis Hunter might walk away from this game with 3 interceptions. Um, or you could absolutely come out and say that they're gonna blow out Jacksonville. I'm gonna take in this game because I think they will have a better game this one around. I'm hoping they have a better game game around. I'm not a Bengals fan by any means, but I do think they're one of those teams. I'm a firm believer of if you have a lot, if you have that good of a thing, whether it be an offense or a defense, I want to see it. I want to see the high-powered offense of the Bengals all year. Other than if they verse the Giants, that's the only time I don't want to see it. Every other game though, I want to see the Bengals put up points. I want to see them throw to Jamar Chase. I want them to show why they belong in the playoffs. The big question mark from this team was can they make it? Can they make it back? They went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago and they haven't been the same since. And we're not seeing them in the playoffs. We didn't see them in last year. Who knows about this year? It's still up in the air. The AFC is kind of stacked as their wild card goes, and it's really hard to see if they can make it in there. I think the Steelers are a better team this year. So I mean, I don't know if we're going to see a better. I don't know if we're going to see them in the playoffs, but they're going to have to fight for it, and I think they're going to try to make a statement game out of this Jacksonville game. I do. I think they're going to come back much better game this time around. I'm going to have the Bengals winning this one. I have the Bengals winning 24 to I have them winning 24-13. 24-13 is my score for this one. Put this one on Dan real quick.
I think I agree with you when I say I want to see this Bengals offense completely go out and dominate. You have guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. You have Chase Brown back there at running back. I want to see Chase Brown more involved this week in the offense. Yes, he had 21 carries last week and 1 touchdown, but he only had 43 yards. I want to see him get more yards and try to run against this Jaguars running game or defense. I also want to see Jamar Chase be more involved. And maybe this is my fantasy bias coming in, but I want to see Jamar Chase put up more than 4 points in fantasy this week.
Oh. You know what? I take my pick back. I verse him in fantasy this week, so I have the Jaguars winning 49-0.
I want to see Jamar Chase go off. I want to see Joe Burrows go off. But again, I don't know. You see a lot in this Jaguars offense that can match them if it does get out of hand. They have Etienne Jr. at running back. You have Travis Hunter. You have 2 guys at wide receivers on that Jacksonville team that can make impact if they both show it. I think this is gonna be more of a shootout. I don't think it's gonna be as much as a runaway that you have it, but I can see this being that 1-point game like Vic has for the Browns-Ravens. Or no, not the Browns-Ravens. The Patriots-Dolphins. I can see this being a 27-28 type game.
In favor of the Bengals?
Teams, yeah, in favor of the Bengals. Just both teams going head-to-head with offense.
He's a closet Jacksonville fan. I'll let you guys know that now. He talks about it all the time. All right, Dak,
I
what do you
mean, I
got
do
here?
have their defense in Madden.
I got the Jaguars getting utterly decimated by the Bengals with a score of 42-16. I
Oh
think
my god. I
I
think this
think
is the
Joe
most blowout score they had this week.
Joe is gonna go in there and annihilate this team. Because he's another one that's just frustrated, man, with this just piss poor performance that Cincinnati seems to play with the superstars that they got on this team. I got Jamar Chase going out there and having a field day all over them and ragdolling that defense.
How many touchdowns?
And
Let me hear this.
giving him 3 touchdowns, bro. 150 yards on the day. Lock it in, kid. Big boy Joe's coming out to play. Right? Joe's going to get it done. Defense is going to hold that team down to 16 points somehow, some way. Joe's getting it done. Cincinnati's going to stampede them like the Lion King. It's all over for Jacksonville this week. 42-16. That's my lock, bro. Let's go, Joe. Let's go, Cody.
I'm hoping that if that's the score, because I know you got Joe Burrow on your team. I'm hoping that if that's the case, as long as all those touchdowns go to Chase Brown or if they go to T. Higgins, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Nah,
If nothing,
he already said Jamar Chase is gonna put up 3 touchdowns for a buck 50.
plus.
that's great. What you
Let's
guys don't
go.
know is I'm editing that portion out of the stream here, so that's all getting cut, and I'm gonna replace it with him saying that it's going to the punter, and he's gonna get 3 touchdowns for 150 yards because
Too bad they no punter in fantasy.
well, that's too bad. But he better play because I don't want no damn Jamar Chase getting 150 yards on me. I swear to God, if I look down my fantasy app during this game and I see Dane winning by 90 points alone off of this one game, I might have to just kick him from the fantasy group. All right, God,
Throw Vic off the balcony at MetLife.
both of these things might happen. We'll see at the end of this week. Find out next week on week 3 when I do the recaps by myself.
Santa Claus is coming for Cincinnati, baby.
All right. Well, speaking of Santa Claus, someone must have given Daniel Jones his presents early. We have on this next game here the Broncos versus the Colts. This is a game of basically does a cowboy ride a horse, and we're gonna see if the horse is gonna be able to throw the Colt off or not. But I mean, we're gonna have to see about this one. Daniel Jones came out last week and electrified everyone. Came out and made history. He came out as the only person to raise my blood pressure higher than any other former Giant to have ever raised my blood pressure. And I think that's very, very hard for a person to do. I think that the Broncos have a solid defense, though, overall. I think that Bo Nix plays great. I think their team overall is going to be a shock of a season. I think the Broncos can win first in their division this year, and that's who I actually have as my division leader is the Broncos. Yes, I am taking them over the Chiefs this year. I think the Chiefs are just too banged up for the first couple of weeks. I do think the Broncos have a good contesting rate to actually go out here and win some of these games without Rashee Rice. And even when he comes back, I still have them being close games. I still have the Colts actually being able to win in that division. Not the Colts, the Broncos. Um, I think the Colts, on the other hand, showed some good stuff with Daniel Jones against the Dolphins. Here's the thing. The Broncos are not the Dolphins. And even though I had them losing to the Dolphins in a blowout game, I was mistaken poorly. I'm not, like I think I said earlier, I'm not getting that wrong twice in a row. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking the Broncos to win this game. And just because it's Daniel Jones, just because he's not Danny Dimes anymore. He's Indiana Jones is what they're calling him over there. Indiana Jones is going to have a decent game. I don't know how decent of a game. It's against the Broncos, one of the best, if not the best defense in the league. And I think the Broncos are going to win this game. Solid. I'll give them a solid 31 points. I'm putting 31 over the Colts' heads. I'm going to put this one at 31-17 in favor of the Broncos. Solid game overall. Vic, throw this one over to you.
Yeah, I got the Broncos here too. That defense, I think that defense steps up greatly, and I got high expectations for Benito coming in this week. I think he's going to really get to Daniel Jones, and I don't think he's going to have that beginner's luck start that he had last week over that crusty looking Miami team. I got Denver winning 21-17. I think Bo Nix and Sutton improve from last week's play. I don't think they got him throwing 40 attempts this week. That run game looked pretty solid in week one, and I think they're just going to piggyback off that and play cleaner games. And I think Daniel Jones is just going to struggle with this defense that's got themselves more together than that Miami team right now. I got high hopes also for this Denver team. They've been slowly but surely progressing year after year, and I think Bo Nix comes out and has a cleaner game in, I'm curious to see if Sutton's game improves. He had a solid week one, and I really think that combo right there is gonna develop throughout the season. Relying on that run game though, and letting that defense do what they got to do. I really want to see Bonito come out and get after Daniel Jones, right? Yeah, so yeah, I got them winning 21-17. A tight game. I think Daniel Jones will keep it close, but I think the defense edges it out.
Okay, 21-17 for Vic for the Broncos. Dan, throwing it over to you here. Who do you have and why?
These Colt fans think they're riding the high horse in Denver. They think they're gonna have them by the saddle and run all over them like they did the Dolphins. I completely think that's wrong. I think the Broncos are gonna go into the Colts, take them off that high horse that they're on, and I think we're gonna see something similar to what the Colts did to the Dolphins last week, but it's gonna happen to the Colts unfortunately this week. I think this game is gonna be 45-10 in favor of the Broncos. I think the Broncos want to go into Indianapolis. I think the Broncos want to prove something, and they're gonna want to have this big momentum going into a week where you're gonna have to go and face a divisional rival in Los Angeles. I think the Los Angeles Chargers. I think they're gonna want to make a statement saying that we are also here to play in the AFC. And I think they're going to do just that. And it's going to be 45-10.
Wow, all right, it's a blowout score. I don't blame you. Honestly, I'm hoping so just to kind of settle down the Danny Dimes talk or Indiana Jones talk because it's a Giants fan. I'm already sick of Giants fans saying that we lost a good QB. I'm sick of everyone else letting me know and mentioning me in tweets and in Facebook comments and Instagram letting me know how horrible of a decision the Giants made against Daniel Jones because again I'm not a Daniel Jones believer.
Luck is going to run out.
Yeah, I'm hoping so because they ran luck out of there, so I'm hoping luck now runs out on them. We have here next game coming up: Panthers versus the Cardinals at home here. I have the Cardinals winning this game, plain and simple. Really, not much to talk about here. I just have the Cardinals. I think beating this game, beating the Panthers. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is excellent to watch. He's very very fun, very very good to see. Murray, another good guy. I'm looking at them to get this game done. I think just a solid, simple performance. I think we'll see a score of 17-10, win by the Cardinals and whatnot. I don't think it's really that bad of a score. I don't think it's too far fetched. I don't think this is like a blowout series or anything like that. It can be, but I think the Cardinals overall 17-10 is what I got them at. Here's looking at them. I think they're a solid team overall. Moving this one on to Dan. What do you got?
It's this game. The Panthers, to me, are still one of the weak teams. Will they compete with the Cardinals? I don't know. Especially when you have a guy like Kyler Murray at quarterback. You have Marvin Harrison at receiver. You have Connor at running back. The Cardinals just have a lot of weapons that they can use, and I think they're gonna use those weapons this week. And I can definitely see this being. I don't see this being as close as a game as you have it. I do see the Cardinals going in and putting up or the Cardinals putting up some points on the Panthers. I see this being more so a 28-10 game where they're just gonna use that run and pass game that they can that they have in their pocket, and they're just gonna use it. And you're gonna see Kyler Murray target Marvin Harrison. You're gonna see Connor getting some runs and some touchdowns. It's just gonna be Cardinals walking away with this game, in my opinion.
All right. Over to you, Vic.
Yeah, I got the Cardinals walking away with it too over the Panthers with a score of 36-17, man. I don't got him getting sacked 5 times this week against this Panthers defense, Murray. And I got them pretty much picking up from last week, but even better. Think Murray's gonna find Marvin Harrison Jr. fairly easy. And yeah, I don't think it's gonna be much of a day. I got Chipper Hubbard probably rushing for about 100 yards. That's probably the only focal point I could see him. Carolina's offense that could generate them up to 17 points, but seeing a lot of field goals from Panthers, and just an easy win for the Cardinals, man. I see Murray having a good game, picking up where he did last week, and playing cleaner ball.
Okay. And what was your score for this game?
That was a 36-17 Cardinals.
36-17. Okay. All right. Moving on to the Falcons versus the Vikings. Uh, I think this game's going to be a fun one. This is an exciting matchup. I think both teams have that little bit of a flair to them. McCarthy, I think now with a game under his belt, I think the momentum he had in the fourth quarter, he'll carry over to the next game against the Falcons. I am gonna have the Vikings going 2-0 to start the season, but I do think the Falcons will once again put up a fight. I'm having this one as a close game, but I think McCarthy and their offense will be able to overtake the Falcons. We've seen it with Tampa Bay. I put them on the same kind of like average standing that I would have Tampa Bay at the Vikings. So I think I'm gonna put them over here playing this game. I think they're gonna get 24-21. I think all 3 touchdowns going to be done by Justin Jefferson, and he's also going to kick the field goals, so he get extra points on fantasy. So I can match Chase Brown's Jamar Chase's 150 yards, 3 touchdowns that Vic predicted earlier. So, but yeah, no, I think solid overall. Vikings win this game 24-21. Solid, very very close game for me. Penix is going to show out. I think McCarthy's going to show out. Offenses are really going to take off, and this is where I got it right now. Moving this one on to Vic.
Yeah, I got this being a real tight one, actually. Yeah, I got the Falcons winning by 1 point here, 24-23. Bounce back game for the Falcons. I think Robinson's going to come out and have a way better game than he did in week 1, even though it's going to be a tight match. I see improvement from McCarthy, man, but just not enough to grab the win. I think they're going to run the ball a lot better, and it's going to cause Penix to throw a lot less, and he'll look a lot cleaner and sharper on his throws. And I don't think they're going to come out with no hot start. The Vikings just going off of last week's play where they started slowly. I think the defense is going to get a little sluggish coming into the second half just because I feel like Atlanta's going to have that successful run game this week. So I got Atlanta taking this 24-23, close game by 1 point.
All right, Dan, what do you got here?
Back on the same sentiment that Vic just put out for the Falcons. Or yeah, for the Falcons. I do think the Falcons are gonna come out. Their defense isn't one to slouch on. Like you can say that the Falcons, yeah, the offense and the offensive coordinator always puts them in sticky situations where it's always going to come down to being this close games. And that's the Falcons' rep these recent years. Losing these close games where it should be blowouts when they come out and show that they're all gas at the beginning of the game, scoring these 7 points and just falling apart. I don't know what it is, but I think that's going to change this week. I do think is going to be a similar score to like what Vic said. I do think it's going to be a little higher. I do think it's going to be 28-27 with the Falcons winning this game with a late second field goal, like they should have this past weekend.
All right. So, from the sounds of it, I think we all have this game as being like a must-watch kind of game. Because yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting. Just because but it's going to be a close game. I think regardless, no blowouts. This is the first game we actually have them all. I think we're all on the same page here, where the game is just really close. Every other game we're looking at, the games are kind of further apart, other than the Commanders vs. Packers game. This is the first one since the first game we talked about that we actually have a very, very, very tight knit game. And I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. But moving on to the next game here, we have the Eagles versus the Chiefs. I think this is the marquee matchup of the week. Super Bowl rematch. And in with keeping such, I think we're gonna have a Super Bowl, a winner again. I think we're gonna have another Super Bowl classic here. I think we're gonna have the Eagles winning this one. The Chiefs just don't got it to me. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people got the Chiefs being this great team. I think Mahomes is the backbone, and he's amazing. We've seen the test he threw against the Chargers, even with the injuries, even with everyone being down, he keeps them in the game. The problem is, just like any position possible, there's always too much of a good thing. And I think that Patrick Mahomes cannot be the only thing keeping them in this game. He took some bad hits last game against the Chargers, and in order for him to beat this Eagles defense, unless the entire defensive line spits on Mahomes, like Carter did against the against Dak Prescott, which I don't know how. I'm sorry
He's
if
playing, by the way.
yeah. Oh, is he playing? He actually is marked
Yes.
as playing. Wow. So no suspension for him. Crazy work for me. NHL, that's at least 2 games. But I think unless someone comes out and spits on Mahomes, there's going to be a very, very wild chance that Mahomes cannot keep up with the defense once again. I think we're going to see a repeat. We're going to see a repeat of the last year's Super Bowl. Plain and simple. We're going to see Saquon do what he does. We're going to see Hurts do what he does. We're going to see the offenses do what they do. The defense do what they do. I just don't see a weak point versus the Chiefs in this game. I got this one being just like last year. I think this is actually going to be a blowout game. It is a marquee matchup, but I just don't think the Chiefs have enough firepower right now. Travis Kelce, aging. Rashee Rice suspended. Worthy, questionable. Don't even know he's going to be in. He has a dislocated shoulder. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. So if he is out this game 100% and their top receiver is going to be Hollywood Brown, you're either going to see Mahomes be the best running back of his life, or you're going to see some phenomenal stuff from the Eagles. I got this game. This one's going to be a blowout for me. I'm gonna say not necessarily a blowout, but it's not going to be close. I got this one being 35-21 in favor of the Eagles. Moving this one on to Dan.
I don't know. I see a lot of the same things in Pat Mahomes as they did in Tom Brady, where you can say, yeah, okay, he doesn't have anybody around him and you want to give him talent. If you give Patty Mahomes talent, this Chiefs team is just going to be way too unstoppable. And you can't even disagree with that. If you give Patty Mahomes a Jamar Chase, if you give him a Justin Jefferson, if you give him one of these talented receivers, even a DK Metcalf, or if you gave him a George Pickens, this offense gets escalated to a whole nother level, and we're talking about the Chiefs being one of the best teams in the NFL. Just because you have Patty Mahomes and you actually gave him a number one. So, and you would see that in the same thing if you were talking about Tom Brady back in the day. If Tom Brady had a number one, those teams would be unstoppable. It's very hard to say that the Chiefs, yes, even though they do lack, they are dealing with injuries. They don't have these top guys. Patty Mahomes is one of these guys that make every player around him better and want to compete. The Chiefs team is obviously going up against the team that beat them in the Super Bowl. And they want to get back there. The Chiefs want to get back to the Super Bowl. They have the urge. They have the decency. They have the they have that passion under them, and you see it in Isaiah Pachenko talking about this team, how they have the chip on their shoulders that they want to get back there. They want to be better, and they want to take another chip. Yes, maybe the Eagles will come away with this game, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout as you think. I actually have this being similar to the Chargers game, where they're only going to lose by a touchdown, or if that's 3 points. I have this being a 24-21 type game in
And-
favor of the Eagles.
Okay, moving on to Vic.
Yeah, I got the Eagles winning this one 28-23. It's gonna be a tight one for sure, but I think they're gonna win this game with their defense, man. I think AJ Brown's finally gonna make a stand and actually have a game this week. I'm sure Barkley will do his thing, but I feel like Hurts is gonna find Brown a little bit more this week for sure. And that pressure, I think the pressure will stack up a little bit better this week and force Mahomes. It's very hard to bet against Mahomes. It really is, because it's like Dan says, he's got that. He's got that Tom Brady-esque to him as far as energy and getting everyone to just play better and do better when he's on the field. But I got Pacheco playing a pretty solid run game. I mean, Dallas ran the ball pretty good against the Eagles in Week 1. For not having such amazing backs back there. So I think it's going to be heavily relied on the run game. Maybe a couple of explosive plays down the field to keep them in the game. But ultimately, I think Philly's defense will triumph over him and secure the victory with probably a late game turnover, him trying to push the ball down the field at the end of the game, and they'll hold strong. And a solid outing coming from Hurts, Barkley, and Brown.
All right, well that covers all of our Sunday matchups here. Moving on to Monday Night Football with our first game here being the Buccaneers versus the Texans. I think it's gonna be a fun matchup here. I think the Buccaneers are going to run away with their division. I think that it will be a closer one. I think that Atlanta will come up and put some stuff in here. But I do have the Buccaneers winning against the Texans, and I am a big Stroud fan. I think Stroud's a great QB. I just don't see the O-line holding for the Texans. I don't see the defense holding. I don't see Stroud having many weapons right now to really get what he needs off. Tank Dell is not enough. I just don't know if they got what they need right now. With the loss of Stephon Diggs and whatnot, it's a lot. I think the Texans really need to beef up their offense somehow, some way. But I just don't think right now is their time to go up against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are surging, and we're going to keep seeing that. I think it's going to be a theme we're going to see. They can very well be either one of the best wild card teams, or I think I could see them in the playoffs this year as like a third seed. And I know it's saying a lot because there's a lot of good teams this year, especially in the NFC side, and I have them coming up and being around the third seed team. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers on this one, 24-15, final score uh, with with Baker Mayfield leading the way. I think he's one of those guys that just he has the talent, whether it be around him or himself. I think he's always been underestimated. I think he's got a solid year ahead of him. So I'm taking him to win this matchup with Ibuka continuing on in his triumph to actually make this a fun game to watch, whether it be him or Evans. I think they're going to go off, and I have them winning. Moving this one on to Vic.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. I got the Bucks. I got Mayfield out playing Stroud, in a close one, 27-22. I think Egbuka and Evans get off to a hot start early, and I think the Texans defense keeps them in the game, gives them some opportunities, but ultimately, I just don't see Stroud performing. I feel like he's going to underachieve in that game. I wasn't really impressed with him in Week 1 either. Um, just still waiting for him to really take that next step up. I know it's hard. He ain't got the weapons I'm sure he'd like to have, but it's just it's the Bucks. I mean, they got Ibuka starting off hot. You got Evans, man. I think the running back's gonna have a better week this week. I just feel like the overall better team. is the Bucks, and I feel like they're gonna show it early on in the game, and I think they'll fight their way back into the game. The Texans, at least hold Baker Mayfield on some drives and give Stroud a chance, but I just don't think he's gonna be able to put much together, not enough to at least win that game. So I got them losing 27-22. Bucks win.
All right. Last but not least, Dan, what do we have here? Monday Night Football. Talk to me.
Wait, what's the score you had, Vic?
I
27
had a
22.
Bucks up 27-22.
So, I think yes, CJ Stroud does have Tank Dell, but Tank Dell is out this game. But I think we're also forgetting that there's also one more weapon that he has, and I haven't heard his name mentioned here yet. Nico Collins. You can't underestimate the talent that Nico Collins has as wide receiver.
I completely factual.
Yes, he's out.
Hit him in fantasy.
Yes, Tank Dell is out. But at the same time, you have a stud in Nico Collins at that wide receiver position. And Christian Kirk is an option. He's questionable for this week. But I don't know, man. I think this game is going to be very similar to what we seen last week with the Bucks and the Atlanta Falcons. Do I think Baker Mayfield can get going? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to get going against the Texans defense? I don't think so. That's me personally. So I do see this coming down to a field goal game. I do see this being 32-35
In favor?
of the Texans.
Wow. Okay. 35-32. Wow, very high scoring game. I was not expecting that.
I think CJ Stroud is going to show out this game.
I would love it. I love Stroud. So personally, for me, I think he's a great QB. You guys know I've loved him since he came out. I'm waiting for him to get where he's got to go. I don't know if it's gonna be on the Texans or not, but I mean, I think he's gonna be a solid QB, and I'm hoping nothing but the best for him. All right, moving on to the night game, Monday night prime time. I don't know where prime time is for this one. Maybe prime time, maybe in the EU for breakfast or something like that. Or late night in the West Coast here.
You realize I was ahead, right?
It's a West Coast game. Yeah, they're playing at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and Europe is 6 hours ahead of us on the East Coast.
Yeah, breakfast.
Yeah, brunch.
We have the Chargers versus the Raiders here. This matchup is actually, I don't think it's going to be that bad of a matchup. I think the Raiders are somewhat decent of a team this year offensively. And I do think we could see some show out weapons here from them. Genty coming out. I think Genty's going to have a solid game. I don't know how much of a solid game, because the Chargers do have a good defensive line. But I mean, I think if there is going to be someone that could break through it, it would be Genty. We'll see how good of a game he has. I see him, I don't think he's going to run for 100 yards, but I could see him running for like anywhere between at least the 60 and the 75 marker. And that's where I kind of have him at. Brock Bowers, I think he's listed as questionable right now. I don't think he's fully out. I think he was expected to play, is what Dan said earlier. I think Brock Bowers, if he's in and healthy, he's going to have a game. Brock Bowers is a solid tight end. And then of course, you got the receivers over there too. This team's just got a solid team. And I don't think they're nothing to scoff at for sure. That being said, though, I think the Chargers with Herbert really showed out against the Chiefs. They really showed that they're here to play. They're a team that's a wild card team, and I'm not just saying that like they're a wild card in the playoffs. I mean that they're a wild card in general. You don't know which team you're getting when it comes to the Chargers. They can either come out and show out, or they can come out and completely fall flat. I do not think this is one of those games that they fall flat. Quentin Johnson came out, did his thing, and I think they're gonna have a solid game. I think they're gonna have a better running game this year. This game with Omari and Hampton. I think they're gonna have a better passing game, a solid similar passing game to what they had last game, and a solid defensive game as well. It's gonna be a close score game though for me. It's gonna be 21-17 in favor of the Chargers for me. And I'm gonna throw this one over to Dan to close this one out. To close out his portion of this as well.
what you said, how this Raiders team is not one that you can just overlook. Yes, they have a rookie running back. We get that. But you see the potential in Genty. And if this team can get going, especially with Pete Carroll at the helm being the head coach, I think you can see a top running back in the league in Genty if he can get his feet underneath him. If they give him the proper runs to run, I think that the Raiders will have a good run game. But like you said, they also have Brock Bowers, and if Brock Bowers is healthy playing this game, you're gonna see Darwin James Jr. being all over the field. You're gonna see him piggybacking some of these receivers. You're gonna see him covering Brock Bowers. He's gonna be doing a lot of work. And will Brock Bowers get open? Absolutely. But like you said with the Chargers, you look at this Charger team, the only question on offense is really what Chargers offense is going to show up. You know that defense is going to come out, show up every game, as it was one of the top defense in the league last year. It's very hard to match up against this defense, and you saw the Chiefs struggling with this defense last week. It's this Chargers team make it hard for you to score on offense. And when you get that opportunity, you have to take it. Do I think the Raiders are going to do that with Geno Smith at quarterback? Very hard to say. Because we all know what Geno could do. Geno shows up some games, Geno is horrible others. It's very iffy with Geno. But I do see this being a kind of close game, but not really. More similar to the score like you have. I see this being 28-16. I just think the Chargers are too strong on offense when you really look at it. And that defense is just so strong, it's going to be very hard for the Raiders to score on this defense.
Fair. All right. And to close out the night, we have Pastor Prescott over here. Let's see what we got going on. Give us a sermon. Close out this recording
I will
here.
hit you guys with some. I got this being honestly the most exciting game of the whole week. I got this game going down to the wire to the last drive of the game, and I got it tied up, knotted up 29-29 going into the last 2 minutes, and Herbert winning the game 35-29 with 5 passing touchdowns, man. I think Geno's going to hang in there with him, and he threw for 300 yards last week. I think Janty gets in the end zone at least twice and has a way better week than he did last week. And I just think it's going to be a slugfest, man. I think it's going to go back and forth and come down to the wire, man. It's just what I'm feeling. I don't know why. I mean, I'm excited to see. I want to see how the Chargers come out in the run game. I like their defense playing against Kansas City. You know, they played with some oomph for sure. But I really got this one coming down to the wire for some reason. I don't know why. I just felt it when I looked at the teams and looked at some of the clips, man. I was just like, for some reason, I feel like it's gonna come down to the last drive of the game, and that Herbert's gonna show out. Herbert's gonna show out, man, and he's gonna win right in the end. And for some reason, I got it being the game of the week.
Oh wow! All right, game of the week. That's actually was going to be my next question after this, which was going to be what's your guys' game of the week. We already know Vic's. He's got the Chargers with the Raiders for Monday Night Football. Dan, which matchup this week do you have being game of the week and why?
Game of the week. This is going to be a very tough one because I can see 3 games being game of the week.
Okay, well, which one do you have?
I
Which
can
was your favorite?
see which one's my favorite. Buccaneers versus Texans. I just think you're going to see both quarterbacks go out there, do their thing. I think you're going to see Nico Collins have a great day just balling out against the Raiders defense, Buccaneers defense. That game is going to be a great game to watch.
All right. For me, I think I have. I think the most exciting game on this list here. I think we're gonna see the Jaguars versus the Bank. No, my game of the week. I think personally, and it's not just because of the fact, but I think game of the week is something we're gonna see I think we're going to see a fun game between the Bills and the Jets. I think this game's going to be game of the week. Personally, I just think it's between the
Second.
yeah, it's like I think it's going to be a great game. This was I was debating between this game and the Falcons and Vikings game because personally those two are my favorite games this week. But I do have the Bills versus the Jets edging it out just a little bit, just because I think there's going to be a lot of explosiveness from both sides. I think it's going to be a fun, in a weird way, defensively. Not, maybe not completely, because I do have it being a high-scoring game, but I think defensively as well. I think we're going to see it might not stop the offenses, but I think we're going to see key stops that make the game just enough exciting on defense that it's really gonna make a fun game. It's gonna be a fun time all around. I think that I'm excited to see Fields and what he could do. I think we're gonna see a lot of ground and pound from both teams, and I think that's what I like that in football. I like the ground and pound. Yes, I like when teams air it out, but I like when teams run it out. Even if it's a running quarterback, I just want to see people running. I want to see these offenses run the ball behind the line of scrimmage. I want to see you guys get past those savages at the line. I want to see you fight to get through the hole. That's what I want. I want to see what I want to see out of these games. And I think that the Bills versus Jets is gonna be the best game there, especially since I'm gonna be there 100%. It's gonna be a fun time overall. For me, I think automatically it was a game of the week just because of that. My first ever football game going to it. It'll be a fun time overall, no matter what. But I think it's gonna be fun. I'm excited just to cheer and chant the Jets chant. I'm so fucking excited. I can't wait. I'm
Traitor.
following. It's gonna be so. Not a traitor. I love the Giants. Giants are my team always, but it's not like the NHL for me. Which you guys will see during hockey season. I'm Rangers fan through and through till I die. And I will never ever cheer for the Islanders. Never. They can go all the way to Canada. They can go wherever they want to. They can be shipped off to another country. I do not care. I do not like the Islanders. But the Jets, there's no rivalry there for me. If they were both playing in the same thing, and I think I said this, I think we had a conversation about this recently. But if the Jets were in the same division as the Giants, I think that would spark up a lot more of a flair for this. But the fact that they're just in separate conferences, they almost never play. I have no reason to hate the Jets personally because of that. When am I ever going to see them? Unless they're in a Super Bowl versing each other, which, at the rate these teams are going, is almost likely never going to happen in my lifetime or any of our lifetimes. It's going to be the worst part about that. So there's no rivalry for me there. The most they play is preseason, and once every leap year they play a game in regular season. Really not much of a rival for me. So call me a traitor if you want. I am a Giants fan through and through, but I do love the Jets as well. I've been following the Jets since for a while now. Anyway, my uncles grew up a diehard Jets fan. I might have not, but over time I kind of softened up to it. I like the Jets. I don't mind them at all. I think they're the underdog, and I do like fighting for the underdog as well. I think a lot of people just underestimate them too much for their own good. But yeah, that's my team. I think they're going to come out with this game being something solid. I would love to say the Giants versus the Cowboys, but I already know there's nothing but misery and pain waiting there for me when I get home and I see that score. So I'm just going to go ahead and yeah, I'm going to say those are the games of the week. And just real quick before we end here, I just want to say that I should have said it's the beginning of the recording. I probably move it over there if anything, maybe not. But I'm gonna keep tabs of everyone's wins and losses for the season. The idea was brought up I think by Dan last week about it, so I think we're gonna kind of do that. I tallied everyone's wins and losses, and the records right now for everyone's wins and losses for week 1 was Dan in the lead at 9-5 for his picks. I was 8-6, and Vic was 7-7. So we were all 1 point away from each other. I thought I had that in reverse, but I guess Dan was the 9-6 winner there for it, the 9-5 winner. So week 1, Dan had 9-5 for his predictions. We're gonna tally up all these wins and scores, and like I said, every correct score that Vic gets, $10 donated to my bank account. Out of the kindness of his heart, because he just picks some really weird, obscure scores, and I just don't know whatever comes to his mind. Kind of want to get it like a Vic's picks segment on its own, just so I can kind of dissect his mind a little bit. But all right, guys, that is our week 2 BSBN picks of the week. We'll be back with another video coming next week for the recaps, as well as our pick 3 weeks. Don't forget to come follow us on Twitch, on all the social medias. All the things are going to be at Burst Network, no matter where you go. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you guys later on. Have a good one. Week 2 coming at you. Bye, guys.
Peace out.